Okay, hello everyone. It is July 9th, 2025. I'm going to say welcome to all the new subscribers and hope those of you watching will hit the subscribe and like button as well. Wanted to talk to you about the collapse of President Trump's Red Sea ceasefire. As you know, earlier this year, President Trump ordered a series of military strikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen because they had been attacking shipping coming out of the Suez Canal into the Red Sea. After 3 or 4 weeks of bombardment, Trump announced that they had a peace deal with them and that we were going to pull out of the area and that they'd agreed they would no longer attack Red Sea shipping. Realized before the bombardment started, I believe the attack started in February, the Houthis had not attacked shipping since the prior November. Now, part of that is because of strikes by the Biden administration, strikes by the Israelis, defense by American destroyers, also defense by French and British air assets. So there's a lot going into that. Since Trump announced this ceasefire, which, by the way, appears to at best have been a pinky promise between the two sides, there's no actual treaty. There was really nothing announced by the Houthis. Houthis have fired multiple missiles at Saudi Arabia and at Israel, but most importantly, they have now started attacking shipping. In the last week, they have sank two vessels. They've sank the Magic Sea and the Eternity Sea. The Magic Sea, the crew had to abandon ship, and the ship was sunk. The Eternity Sea, some crew members were killed, and according to the U.S. Embassy in Yemen, other crew members have been taken hostage. So it would appear that the Houthis are full-on attacking Red Sea shipping. These are facts. Let's talk opinion here for a moment. In my opinion, what happened is Trump thought the attacks on the Houthis would be a very strong statement of American power, American presence, and it was a relatively safe way to do it. Nobody liked them. They didn't really have any significant allies. They had really no air defense. It made sense. This is the same one that you may remember, the Signal Gate thing, where they brought in the Atlantic reporter, Goldberg, I think was his name, and then disclosed all the brought him in by accident, and then Vance was on it, and Hesketh was on it. That was the one where Vance was like, "Why are we doing this? This is really should be the Europeans doing this." And Hesketh and who was the other one? Waltz managed to completely leak all of this classified info. And then after they did that, when the press said, "Well, why are you giving out classified info?" They said, "Well, no, it's not classified." They said, "Well, then can you tell us about it?" "Well, no, we can't tell you about it. It's not classified, but it's too classified to discuss." God, you gotta love politics. But the point here is that, in my opinion, what happened is after 3 or 4 weeks of this, Trump basically looked around and said, nobody's paying attention to this. Only people are paying attention to Signalgate. Nobody cares. We're not getting any international, cachet out of this. No one domestically seems to care. Why are we bombing these places in Yemen? And then the Houthis said, we won't attack shipping anymore. Trump said, good enough for me, and out he went, and he pulled out. And now the Houthis are rolling again, and so these attacks on shipping are continuing. Now, first off, let me say I fully support Trump in attacking the Houthis earlier this year. Maintaining free navigation of the sea has been American foreign policy for over 200 years. This goes back to President Monroe. And he is hardly the only one to do that. So that was actually a point of Trump following traditional American foreign policy. The pullout, I can kind of understand why. We were spending a lot of money. We probably weren't making any real difference. The Houthis have been bombarded for years. The Saudis were at war with them. They've got their own civil war. The Israelis have hit them repeatedly. They've been hit. They don't seem to care. You blow up 10 of them and 10 more show up. Excuse me. So I can kind of understand him saying, we're not really getting anywhere. I'm not getting any real political clout out of it. And nobody's really paying attention to it. One thing to remember about Trump, he has to be the center of attention. So if he's involved in something, it's not getting any attention, he's probably not going to want to remain involved in it. Excuse me. So I can kind of understand his reasons for getting out. But again, they have collapsed. Now, the reason I think this is significant is that a big part of what Trump does is he announces deals and peace agreements and stuff all the time, almost constantly, usually when none exist. How many times have you heard we're going to have the peace agreement with Russia, and Ukraine in a week or two, this week or next week? How many times have you heard that we've got the trade deal coming with India? We got the trade deal coming with Japan. We've got this deal coming. That tomorrow we're going to have deals. Next week we're going to have deals. The next couple of weeks we're going to have a whole bunch of deals. Besant was saying it earlier this week, saying, we're going to have a flurry of deals to announce. And then when, of course, they had no deals, they said, well, no, the letters are the deals. A week or two ago, he was saying, the Israelis have accepted the peace deal in Gaza, and we're going to have this ceasefire in Gaza and all this other stuff, and no one had even talked to Hamas. So there's a real tendency by the Trump administration to announce deals where no deal exists. In this case, there appears to have been a very minimalistic. If you pull out, we won't shoot at ships, verbal agreement, if even that, and it has fallen apart. So the reason I say this is that I fully expect that the announcement of deals will continue fast and furious for the foreseeable future, and I would encourage everyone to keep saying, let me see the text, let me see the writing, let me see where whatever government or organization did this has signed off, like physically signed an agreement and said, yes, we agree to this, we will do this. Because there is this tendency to keep announcing these deals, and to the extent that you even do get something, because again, I think there probably was some there was some level of agreement here, probably not much, but something. It tends to get very overblown. So again, this is part of the a little bit of healthy skepticism. Is the United States going back to the Red Sea? Are we going to start attacking Houthis again? No idea. I know there is certainly the Vance segment which does not want to do it. Hesketh seemed very pro doing it because he saw it as a show of American military prowess. I don't think he particularly cared about the underlying issues. It was just a way for him from his perspective, for the United States to show what our military is capable of, which is not a completely ridiculous reason for doing something. There's some value to that. Again, I have no idea if we're going to go back. Now you may be thinking, well, hold on, what is going to be the general international community reaction to the Houthis doing this? Well, if you're Russian or Chinese or a few other countries, you're just going to pay the bribes. You're going to say, look, we want these ships to pass through. Here's what we're going to pay you. Leave our ships alone. If you're the Europeans, you're going to have summits and meetings and studies and talks and candlelight vigil poetry readings and all that kind of stuff, and probably ultimately do nothing, because that's what Europe does. They have lots and lots of meetings and don't really do much. What are countries like Japan or South Korea going to do? Honestly, I'm not really sure what they can do that far away besides pay the bribes. This is largely what I think the Houthis are doing. This is a money-making scheme. We attack ships, so if you want your ship to get through, you're going to have to pay us. It's like the old Barbary pirates. So I would expect this to continue unless the United States gets involved and decides to stop it. But if we're going to stop it, it is going to have to be a sustained military campaign. The Saudis would certainly love for us to do that. They hate the Houthis. Will we do it? I would say very unlikely under Trump. He does not do that. He likes to launch a strike, declare peace, and get out of there. He did the same thing with Iran. He had Iran one time. It was a very good strike. It appears to have been a successful strike. But then he immediately said, we've won. We declare peace. War's over. We're out of here. And he did that before there could possibly have been any thorough, accurate intelligence assessment as to Iran's nuclear program. And from what we've seen from the information coming out, while the strike was successful and undoubtedly damaged the Iranian nuclear program and damaged it significantly, Trump's statements that it has been permanently destroyed and will never come back appear to be completely false. The Iranian nuclear program is alive and will continue. Given that history, that track record, I would assume we are not going to get back involved with the Houthis, but I don't know. Predicting Trump is a fool's errand. But either way, thought you might find that interesting, and hope everyone's having a good day. Bye-bye.